I'm Connor. That's Nick. This is your weekly gaming podcast from Co-op 64. We're coming at you with our hot takes, the draft at the end, and one major topic. We got a doozy for you this week. We're going to talk about ourselves, as if we're not vain enough.
We've been talking about things like Game of the Year in 2023 as a whole for so long that it's going to be nice to just take a deep breath and shoot the breeze a little bit on a podcast compared to like having to be dialed in and like only talking about a certain subsect of games. We're just able to talk about 20 years of playing games and stuff like that.
We're going to give you a little bit of a backstory on our own gaming history, explain kind of where we've been and where we're going and where we started and how we got into games and the consoles that we played along the way and that journey to where we are now. I think it should be a pretty interesting conversation, but because you and I have very different journeys for sure, but they kind of
insane.
do have threads together, of course, just because we grew up together. We are brothers, if that wasn't clear. New people keep coming in and out, so I like to reiterate that every once in a while.
Yeah.
Especially for this topic, our gaming history, a lot of it's going to relate to each other because a lot of it is being together. But yeah, how are you? How are things?
I'm doing good. I mean, we're entering the holiday season, and it's nice to see things like Starbucks cups and holiday music. I'm a huge fan of the holidays. Like, I like the atmosphere.
You said Halloween music for a second. Did you say holiday music?
I think I said Starbucks cups and holiday.
It sounded like Halloween music, but I think you said holiday music. Or
holiday music, yes. But it feels festive. It's nice to have this little time of year.
Yeah, I love Christmas.
It's definitely odd, though, to be... I'm in a new state, basically, for the first time in a long time. Normally, I'd be prepping to go home for the holidays and then come up here for New Year's and then go back down to college and do a crazy stream. And the crazy stream will still be part of our January, but it's different.
Once you get a real job, like, Christmas just creeps up on you. You don't have that. You are kind of getting it this year because you're going back home and you have a few days leading up to it.
Yeah.
But like usually now, I'm working up until Christmas.
Yep.
And then Christmas Eve I have off this year, which is very nice. But it's like, oh, it's time. Like there it is. We get in the face. But right now, just to give some context to where we're at with this podcast, we just recorded 2 weeks worth of content for you guys, so we can make sure that we did not miss a post because Nick is going out of town. So we have this week's slate done, and then Nick leaves on Wednesday, and then, well, I guess by the time this is up, Nick left yesterday.
Yep.
And then we will have the next week's worth of podcasts and TikToks and everything ready to go. We will be taking a little bit of a break from streaming, just missing 3 days of streaming.
4 total days of streaming. We will be not missing an entire week, though, which at the end of the day, the team and we all talked, and it's just important to not miss a full week ever if we can, even with holidays. And the nice part is, even if you love the streams and everything, you'll see our stupid faces on TikTok and the podcast.
We never want to be able to be in a situation where we're not posting and giving you guys the content that you expect and kind of rely on. As somebody who works in an industry where I need podcasts to kind of get through the day, and I need that kind of hit of endorphins from my favorite people from listening to their podcast. I don't want to let people down in that way, so I really would like to be in a situation where we never miss, and I definitely think we've done that so far for the most part.
And honestly, for me, like, just reflecting in the past, holidays are such a good excuse to play some games and listen to some podcasts, take some walk, listen to some podcasts, consume the content, catch up a little bit on the stuff that you've been missing, and we want to be there for you guys for that piece, because we know how important that is for us.
Right.
And so, like, just having the holidays, like, I know for a fact I'm going to be hopefully getting some Fortnite games in and listening to some podcasts and relaxing compared to, like...
Are you bringing your PlayStation home with you? Or?
It's going to be interesting because I'm bringing home a backpack for certain, and then probably a suitcase for clothes and gifts. And if I'm bringing back a backpack anyways, might as well throw both my laptops and my work laptop and my regular laptop and a PS5 in there.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, like... As always, it's hard to find time to play games during the holiday season, but there's definitely time to talk about games.
Yeah,
so
I would always bring my PlayStation home with me every break from college, and then like end up using it for like an hour, or if that, or
Yeah.
like maybe not even setting it up. I remember one year I didn't even set it up at all, just because like you're so busy over the holidays.
I brought it up during the summer break where like around 4th of July, I was able to take some time and go home for a bit, and I brought it and I did not set it up once.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like,
just nice to have.
it's
Just
nice
it's just
to
comforting.
have. It's also like where I'm at with my gaming experience. You guys will learn a lot about us today. I think that this is a really important podcast to have. We just want to have something like this on the channel for perpetuity at this point. But like, there's certain games in my backlog that I need to get to, and a holiday break, I can't really not play games for 7 days. Like at this point,
Right.
like it's too important. I can't miss out on 7 free days of me not working and also not playing games. So we'll see what happens there. But I definitely like the idea of it being late night. Both of our lovely parents are asleep, and I'm just able to rip a couple Fortnite games or
You
just
gotta get a Switch in your life.
yeah, man. It's
Not borrow Brady's.
yeah, I know. Or I just might take Brady's without him.
We've
asking.
just been talking for so long about Nick getting a Switch, and it's like you might as well just wait for Switch 2. You might as well just wait for Switch 2, and it's like oh, it just keeps we just keep waiting.
had a podcast at the start of 2021. I believe it was our second podcast. So we did our Game of the Year 2020. Then the second one was like predictions or something like that, and. I was like, I should get a Switch this year, and Connor and a lot of my friends were like, the new one's got to come out soon
Right.
enough, right? Like they've gone through most of their major IP, like it's time, it needs an upgrade, and here we are entering 2024, and now it's like, okay, wait. And then if you're wondering how I play Tears of the Kingdom, shout out Brady and our buddy Andy for making that happen.
I just had to pivot for my hot take
Little
because I wanted to talk about video games, like kind of what we're playing, but now my hot take relates to what I'm playing currently. So, do you want to just hop into the hot takes? Right
yeah,
now?
you first.
Okay, yeah, just to lean right into that, what I was just saying. But all right,
1 sec. Let me get the hard part is hopefully like in like 3 we only have like 3 more podcasts with this exact mic setup. I just know that there's ice rattling here. I don't want to interrupt your takes out just real quick.
I need to get like a new desk at some point just to like not have.
We'll have an arm right here.
Oh, really?
Arm
I thought
right
it was
there.
attached to the desk.
Or they attach to the desk, but even then it's you don't want to
Still.
wobble
Yeah,
or
exactly.
hit
That's what I'm
or
saying. The
tap.
desk
That's
is-
why I'd rather just go
Interesting.
outside or even right on the shelf. Boom.
Yeah, I guess we'll just kind of figure it out
Yeah.
as we go. But we got a lot to learn in that department. Next year should be weird
Yep.
for potential upgrades to the setup and the whole system we got going here. But my gaming hot take for this week comes from me playing the new Final Fantasy 16 DLC. And it's kind of this is going to be really controversial, and just kind of bear with me on this because I don't even know if I really fully believe in this, just because I don't trust publishers and developers to be responsible with this. But we got to figure out a better system for releasing DLC. I love a good expansion. I love coming back to a game later down the line, but I don't know what the fuck I am doing in Final Fantasy 16. Like, I played this game 6 months ago. I am lost in the sauce. I'm hitting the wrong buttons. I have to relearn how all of the systems work and everything, how the upgrades work, how, like, I don't know what items I have on, what accessories I have on. Like, I'm just flubbing everything. Like, I'm getting reacquainted with it. I've played, like, 5 more hours now, because not only am I excited to play the DLC, but you cannot play the DLC until you're at the very end of the game. And I had restarted a save file because I wanted to play Final Fantasy mode, the harder difficulty, because I wanted to platinum the game. And I got halfway through it, and then I fell off of it because a bunch of games came out for 2023 because it's freaking 2023. So now I'm coming back. I'm like excited to play the DLC, and I can't. And I don't know what I'm doing, and I almost was like, do I even want to do this right now? Like, I'm going to play 20 hours worth of Final Fantasy to get to the DLC, so I'm ready to go for the second DLC that comes out in the spring. But day one DLC, if this came out around the time of release, and it was fresh in my mind, and I was excited to still be playing this and knew what I was doing, I feel like that is a better experience than what we have right now. I did this with Cyberpunk earlier this year. Like, I hadn't played Cyberpunk for a year and a half at that point. Like, I restarted to play the 2.0 update from the beginning so I could get reacquainted with the game. But I was kind of racing towards Phantom Liberty because I wanted to experience the new content. So, like, if that had come out sooner, like when I was still kind of immersed in the world and knew what I was doing, I think that's a better experience. The only issue is that you can't trust developers to not take content out of the base game and charge that separately.
Yeah.
And even if they did not do that and the game was complete, if we got Final Fantasy 16 as it was, and then this side DLC on 2 weeks, a month after it had come out, you can't argue with the internet saying that no, you cut content or whatever. So like it's just kind of a catch-22 where like you damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Either we just wait 6 months to get DLC down the line when none of us know what the hell we're doing, or it comes out close to release and then you're chastised for cutting content. So it's just a lose-lose situation, but I think it's something that developers need to explore at some point and try to figure this out, because I don't want to return to a game 6 months, a year, 2 years in some instances. Like, oh, wait, is it 3 years for Phantom Liberty?
Yeah,
2020? Holy crap, dude. Like, that's so long. Like, I can't believe we're in a situation where, like, DLC by the time that the Elden Ring DLC comes out, like, I wouldn't need to just restart the game because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, I'm not familiar and not skilled enough to just jump back into that hellscape of a world.
Totally.
So, like, it's just a tough situation. So yeah, earlier DLC.
Well,
give it to me.
So here's where I'm at, because I think that there is a shining star of DLC that is happening right now with God of War Valhalla, where it's twofold. A point that you made, and I'm going to talk negative first, is I booted that thing up. I had no idea what I was doing combat-wise in God of War. There would be a red circle or a yellow circle coming my way, and I'd be like, do I dodge it? Do I parry it? What do I do? Like, I just forget, because it's been a year since I've learned this combat system. So that is a tough thing to just deal with. DLC, you're always going to take some time, most likely, since your last time playing the game. So it is a little sucky. But for them to say if you beat the story game, it is right there. We know it. You beat it, so you're good. You don't need to beat it again or get to the end or whatever. Masterclass in that respect, for just to have it right there. And then also, it's only been a year, where it's like, it's been a year, and there's been a lot of games in between, but at least it's still on the top of mind comparatively to something like the DLC expansion that we're getting for The Last of Us Part 2 with their roguelike mode. That's been 3 years. Right. Closer to 4 years than 3 years, I believe, with that release of The Last of Us Part 2. It makes it difficult, but I get your point. I don't know how you do it, is my issue with it.
Yeah, there's no winning here.
That's something I'm trying to like get a lot better at when it comes to these gaming conversations, is try to understand the why, or like how, compared to just potentially complaining about something. But yeah, no, I get why they have to do it, because it takes more dev time and it takes more resources, and most of the time they don't want to release it a month later. They want that second hit, and you gotta think,
can't the second hit be a month later though? You know what I mean? Like, keep people engaged in your game, like, so they're finishing up the game a month after, and then you're like, oh, there's a new thing out that I can hop right into. That should be the ideal situation.
You want to know who did it best?
Who?
Call of Duty, where every month you would buy the map packs for everything. A month later, you get 6 new multiplayer maps and a zombies map. You would come in for that fresh content. You'd play for 3 weeks. You would have a week of falling off, and then boom, another 6 maps or 4 maps or whatever it is, and a zombies map. They did it brilliantly for a decade.
Multiplayer's always done it well. It's really the single player stuff that kind of I struggle with in a lot of ways. But before we get into your hot take, we should probably touch on this in some capacity. You just mentioned it, The Last of Us factions.
Oh gosh,
it's not happening.
We're doing this now.
Just a brief conversation about it. It's funny. Somebody was talking about in our take about Naughty Dog for the developers draft or whatever, that it didn't age very well. I think it aged perfectly.
We literally discussed why
they're not going to put anything out that they don't think is of high quality. But man, like, do I think this game was probably of high quality? Yes.
Yeah.
Is the idea that they just all of a sudden decided that, oh, we're going to have to support this game for a while? Like, really? Oh, we should cancel it because we have to do that. It's like, You didn't know that?
No. No one told you?
How did we get 4 years into development and you just didn't know?
It is a little bit embarrassing to have to deal with all this. The way I think about it is for a couple of like verses. First verse, live service Sony, wrap it up. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. And I think
we're going to get Fair Games in Concord.
Which I'm fine with. And I'm excited to give those games a shot. But this was the one, using your previous IP to go and basically explain what the formula of a PlayStation multiplayer game is going to look like. That's over. It's dead. This was it. This was their biggest shot because it was their IP that everyone knows and loves. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with it. I believe you're also fine with it, right?
Yeah, I'm okay. Fine with them canceling.
Not just canceling, but just being done with it. We went from we both believe at this point, Jim Ryan being Mr. 60% of our resources, let's go into live service.
Oh, yeah. So you're saying done with live services, they're done with the factions. Yes,
yeah, they're done with live services, which I'm like, W. Let's get 2024 rolling, whoever their next manager is or whoever their big head is, that for a longer period of time, I bet that they're going to say, all right, we're going to give the people the games that they want. They want The Last of Us 3, they want God of War 3, they want Horizon 3 they want Ghost 2, and then some new single-player IP from
Naughty Dog.
Yeah, from Naughty Dog, which is another part of this huge announcement. But just to say on the live service point real quick, yes, we're thankful, but man, oh man, does this just suck that, a lot of people just wanted to go and say, make this, why couldn't we get a Last of Us Factions 2? Well, the reasoning is most likely there was a team that wanted to do that, and then Sony said, we got to make it bigger.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, but we know how to make this, and then there might have been a little bit of contradictory, but then there's probably some people on the team that were hyped to make it bigger, and all of a sudden it just got out of hand. But there was never, and what I'm hearing a lot of internet discourse being like, why can't they just release a smaller? This was never. After a couple of years, this was never a smaller game. This was a huge, major title.
But that's the problem, though, is that when we're moving into this era of free-to-play, battle pass, live service, bullshit kind of games, the expectations for a game to be free-to-play, for it to monetize in a certain way, to keep people engaged and keep people giving that $10, paying $20 for skins, Sony would be stupid to not be trying to pursue that. You make so much money doing that. Fortnite makes so much money. People are paying $20 plus for skins.
Here's the thing with Fortnite. I think that Fortnite is the exception to the rule, but you look around at things like Apex, Valorant, the main,
people are buying skins.
People are buying skins. People are buying battle passes. And, Fortnite is something on its own. It is beyond even, it is the crown jewel of, if there's ever another game like Fortnite probably is going to buy them. It's that level. But for those other games, they want to go and try to replicate something like a Valorant, like an Apex, not just shooters, but games with Rocket League, even, with some skins that they sell. It's hard to do. But they would be dumb not to try it. But guess what?
But it's our fault. It's gamers' fault for being games got to be cheaper, games have to be free to play.
Yeah.
Games have to be keeping me engaged for my entire life or whatever.
Dude, Spider-Man got literally put on the fire for not being 70 hours and making us pay $70 when we multiple times have been like, it's deserving of that. It's a next-gen, gorgeous game that hundreds of people...
15 hours, 25 hours to platinum, totally fine by me. When it comes to dollars to hours, that's still a pretty good deal in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not getting a better deal from movies from going to a theater.
You're not getting a better deal going bowling. You're not, whatever entertainment-based thing that you participate in, yes, there are the crown jewels. Once again, like Fortnite, free-to-play. As someone that's probably in my 6 years of playing Fortnite, almost 6 years of playing Fortnite, I think I've personally spent $50. Which is ridiculous. I don't spend a lot on Fortnite. It takes a very special skin for me to be like, that's the one, or a special battle pass to be like, that's the one. But what I notice is I fall off anyway, so it's not really worth it for me. But it's the bang for the buck. We need to be accepting that, in my opinion, if they could have just, honestly, I hate to be this guy, make The Last of Us Part 2 a $100 game and throw a multiplayer mode in there in 2020. And of course, that's
or
not...
now they just... I don't know why we're getting The Last of Us Part 2 remastered right now when they could have just stuck a basic multiplayer
It's because it's too
functionality.
big.
People are
It's
still
too big.
the idea that that they need this game to be sticky. Like people are still playing The Last of Us factions
Which,
on PS4.
I think if we
like,
get anything that's Last of Us multiplayer at this point, I think that it might be a remastered version of The Last of Us factions.
I would freaking
I
love
would
that.
love it. I would. It would
because,
be
dude,
my game
it's
of the
so
year.
good. Like, why can't they just? Why couldn't they just give us a multiplayer suite? Why does this need to be a game that is so sticky that we buy skins?
We all
in
know
and,
it's money. It's just money.
so
it's
frustrating.
Dollars.
Like, I
dude.
hate the way that Sony has handled this. I hate the direction that they're going in. Like last week, I teed off on Phil Spencer. Like I have bad things to say about Sony across the board right now in a lot of ways.
And then there's Nintendo, who we just love.
Yeah.
Honestly, I
Just give me a trophy. I was talking to somebody about this. Just give me a trophy system on Switch, please. Eventually, that's the one thing that they need to change. If they can do that for the new Switch, I will cry. But I've been saying this for console iteration after console iteration. At this point, it just seems obvious to add some sort of achievement system.
Just in every game, 10 achievements. I thought about this in bed the other night. I was like, dude, what if every game did this for like 10 achievements? And they could be as ridiculous or as easy as
never
whatever.
100% any Nintendo game because there's no trophy system or anything. But if they add in a trophy system, I'm 100%ing like every game. And it would be awesome too to be there like from day one, because I wasn't there for day one for PlayStation.
Yeah.
That like, okay, like I'm gonna get a lot of these or whatever. Like I'm gonna get every single one.
Are we okay doing my hot take now?
Yes,
we're probably 25 minutes into this podcast. One hot take.
We usually record this before we have to stream, but this week, since we're doing all of this stacked up together, we can just go as long as we want. And people seem to like the banter and seem to like the longer podcast, so we're gonna give it to you.
Once again, if you're on that holiday break, or like even have time for Christmas or whatever, or during the weekend, hopefully you enjoy the long form.
I think this main topic is gonna be our longest main topic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We are teeing up for a 2-hour podcast.
Easily.
All right. My hot take for this week is really simple. It is games like NBA Big, NFL Blitz. Let's bring them back. And not only let's bring them back, let's modernize them in a way, and let's make them hella cheap, please. What we were just talking about with games need to be cheaper. They need to be free to play. They need to have a great player base. All these things. If we can find a way to basically find that middle ground between free to play and what we get with the Mario sports games, like $50 NBA Big just sounds so much fun to me right now. Like, let me just, because those are games that, like, when you're talking about fun per minute, which is my favorite statistic in gaming, they excel at so high that I'm like, why do we not have more of these games? There's games like Party Animals that are just so terrific, fun, and stupid. Why can't we get that for a good sports game? And when I think about like the fun party sports games, I go to the Mario sports games, and honestly, they do not have enough content to be $70 games, in my opinion. Like, there's just certain quality of life things that I need in a sports game to be fun and ridiculous that they don't provide. You even look at what Switch Sports was, that game has way more fun per minute than a Mario Sports game. Obviously, there's the skill level that you can go a little bit higher, but I'm not playing a sports game for the crazy skill level in a Mario game. I want it to be stupid and fun and, like, as bare bones as possible. Us playing Mario Sports, the Strikers on GameCube recently. Holy smokes, super fun.
Great game.
Right now, we need to find a way to, I'm not trying to be like undercut Nintendo, but like provide a good enough stupid quality game that you, me, and the fellas can play on stream for a couple of streams. It's $20, it's or $40, not crazy expensive, and have 2-on-2 tournaments, 3-on-3 tournaments, and then have a decent online suite where it's just stupid fun. Oh, let's hop on. Oh, we have 20 minutes between games of Valorant while someone's getting food. Like, that is the space that these games could and should go into. Comparatively, a lot of people, when they think about bringing Big back, they're like, $70. No, it doesn't need to be $70. It can be a $50. There's a 3 to 4 hour, like, you play all the teams basically, and you get the trophy mode, and then you play with your buddies for 5-6 more hours, and you feel satisfied with your purchase. Like, that's where I want NBA Big to go. It should come back because there's a space for it. I love these games. I want to see them succeed in the next generation. Bring them back. Let them be stupid. Let the graphics be wild.
Is Big Street as well? Are they the same thing?
No, but you know what I mean when I'm talking about big. I want just a stupid basketball game. I want a stupid backyard football game. I want double backflips, Odell Beckham type catches in a football game.
Right.
I want triple windmill dunks with fire, like on the basketball. Like that's what I want. Can we find a way to do that in 2024 or beyond?
Get that with college football, maybe.
No, it's going to be a Madden.
I know it is, but I'm saying like now you have a whole nother area to go into. To potentially make some fun, silly sports game with college.
I mean, yeah, and just throw in Heisman Trophy winners in
right.
Give me RG3, just the quarterback option. Like let's get stupid. Like let's get Joey Football back in the game. I don't know, but
right.
there's a space for it. It should be fun. I want it. Give me big.
Awesome. Good take.
We got probably for me 15-ish years to break down. For you, probably 20-ish years to break down. So you want to start breaking this shit down?
Yeah, okay. We're going to hop into our video game history, our legacy, our timeline here. We're going to kind of go from the jump from where we kind of started playing video games and kind of talk about a few of the games and our feelings on the console and our memories with it and kind of just go down memory lane and I'll let you know kind of where we're at because there's a lot of times that people mention certain consoles and certain things. It's like before our time. It's like we just like I'm 27. I was born in 1996. So the first time I was like a cognizant human being, like who could like really string together dots, like 5, like or whatever. Yeah. I remember when I was like 3. I always say the first time I have a memory is we're from Massachusetts. We were on a pond that was frozen over skating, and I was 3, and I had a helmet on, and I remember falling backwards.
Oh, jeez.
And just like really hitting my head, and that was when I snapped into existence. That like what comedian was like I pooped in a diaper so hard that I snapped into existence or something like that. I think it's Tom Segura or something.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's my moment for that. But yeah, so like I'm 5. I'm just gonna hop into it.
Yeah.
I'm 5. It's kind of weird for me. There's 2 kind of starting points that you could potentially go for, but one of them like is I don't know which one came first.
Yep.
Honestly. So,
chicken or egg.
But I go with the one that like I actually owned. So we're gonna go with the Christmas Day. I had no idea it was coming. PlayStation 2. My parents got me a PlayStation 2. I think our uncle Randy told them to get it for me because he was like, it's the new hotness or whatever. And it's a DVD player. So they got me Kingdom Hearts and NBA Street Volume 2 were my first 2 games on the PlayStation. I remember booting up Kingdom Hearts that day and being on Destiny Island, and I could not find the seagull egg to get off the island. So I just ran around for hours and was like, this game's cool.
Yeah.
I love this, but I don't know where to go. So I put it down and played NBA Street Volume 2 like all day. I think I also got Crash Bash that day too.
It's back there.
It's right there. Yeah. And I played a lot of that.
That was on the PS2?
It was on the PS1.
Oh, because
somebody got a PS. I don't know why we had Crash Bash. I remember you sitting on my back because Nick was
a baby.
A literal baby, and you were sitting on my back watching me. I was in a sleeping bag laying there like this or whatever, and you were on my back and I was playing Crash Bash with like there's the mini game. Crash Bash is just Mario Party basically, where you're pogo sticking on like little platforms and you're trying to like Splatoon ass like paint the board and get as many squares as possible. I remember that like really distinctly, but it was a great day. The PS2 became one of the most important consoles to me for years because I had the PS2 and played it from living in Massachusetts, moving to Arkansas, and then moving to Ohio because I didn't get a PS3 until like a few years into living in Ohio.
I know, but there is a console before the PS3 that was near and dear.
We're gonna get into all that. Yeah. But I'm just saying that like I played the PS2 for like a decade.
Yeah.
Games like Sly Cooper.
I was about to say, for me, my first like memory that deals with gaming is you playing Sly Cooper. Like that is the first thing that like brain connected. I have like a couple of memories that I'm like, I think that this is my first memory, whatever. But the first memory of gaming ever remember is you playing Sly Cooper.
Because I think I played Sly 3 first.
That makes sense.
And then went back and played 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And Jack and Dexter, I only played the first Jack and Dexter, couldn't get past a certain point. Dude, the games from this era, man, like, they did not give you great directions in a lot of
I mean,
ways.
I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Original right now.
If you don't have a guide up with that game at this point, you're just lost.
You're just lost. And like, I thankfully have someone in chat that's like directing me for all the times I'm immensely confused. Even the world map being like, where is this place again? Like,
dude, when I was played Final Fantasy VI this year for the first time, and I had my physical map with me, like, I still need to look stuff up. But it was kind of awesome to like. They're like, go to this town. I was like, where is this town on the map? Okay, it's there. I'm here. We go from there to there. I was like, oh, this is really cool or whatever. I felt like I was on a real adventure. But yeah, so just gonna shout out like a few key games here. Sly Cooper, as I just said, Jack and Dexter, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal, fantastic. Tony Hawk's American Wasteland is the one that I played a lot of. I played American Wasteland and then went back to Underground.
Yep.
Dark Cloud Dark Cloud 2 I rented from a Blockbuster, which was awesome. I was too young to play like Metal Gear Solid, or I never picked up Shadow of the Colossus until later. But yeah, a lot of mascot games like those Ratchets and
for me, it's like, and this is where I can start to, like you said, we had a PS2 for long enough that like I was cognizant during like the very end of us owning it before the PS3. The PS3 Christmas and Wii Christmas were two Christmases I remember. But PS2 Sly was something that I remember you playing. Once again, it wasn't ever me picking up the sticks for a long time. I remember Sly really well. I remember Ratchet and Clank Deadlock, which is not up there right now. But Ratchet and Clank Deadlock was like a game that I remember holding
because you could co-op that too.
And I was getting smoked, and you would laugh your butt off just playing co-op Deadlock. It was a good time, and yeah, that was my PS2 like memories. But once again, it was
Battlefront 2 as well.
Oh,
lots
dude,
of Battlefront.
the sleepover, the first like sleepover I ever had, Battlefront 2 till 5 a.m. with some friends around the neighborhood.
Yeah, like the Conquest mode or something.
Dude.
Like in 1 or 2, like I really enjoyed
Battlefront 2. I was dialed in back then. Yeah.
And then it leads us like to like Guitar Hero and stuff. Guitar Hero like blew me away. I also played with my thumb for the first.
Yep.
And then whenever there was doubles, I would use my thumb and my pointer finger on the top of it and like kind of like do it like that, which is not the way to do it. I had to reteach myself how to like do that.
We both play expert guitar now for Guitar Hero. I remember back when it came out and like being like, I'm trying to give this a go and getting smoked on easy.
It was so different and like unlike anything we'd ever played at that point that it was weird.
For me too, the things that like we could always convince our parents on were like the fun party stupid games. Like we'll discuss the Wii later, but like Rock Band and Guitar Hero, obviously Guitar Hero being the predecessor, was something that they would try, like something that they would. It's a block party. All right, let's pull out Guitar Hero and give a shot. But not only for the kids, but for the adults, because there's 80s and 90s rock songs on there that our parents knew, and so like there were some banger moments in Guitar Hero and
Guitar Hero 3 with the story mode.
Awesome.
Going up against Slash and then Lucifer, the literal devil.
Play the fucking devil, dude.
Yeah, it was awesome, dude. I loved Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
But then, so that's the PS2 broadly speaking. We hit a lot of the major stuff, but there's stuff that I still need to go back to. I played Metal Gear Solid 2 for the first time this year. I still need to play 3. I played Shadow of the Colossus through the remake on PS4 and loved it. I still need to play Eco. Devil May Cry. I haven't checked out. Like there's definitely some, like I didn't play Final Fantasy X until the and 12 until the remasters that came later. So like I got a lot of my information on the PS2 later down the line. I still will argue till the day I die that it is the weakest PlayStation console. Just because even though like I have the most nostalgia for that console, like when you look at the library pound for pound in comparison to the rest of the numbered PlayStation consoles, it's the weakest. I'm sorry. I love it, but it is the weakest.
I absolutely adore the PS3, the PS4, PS5. But like looking back and starting to really just for content purposes and for personal purposes of wanting to go and play a lot of retro games, I'm way more intrigued by the PlayStation 1 than 2. And it's not even close.
So good.
It's not even close. Where it's like, we played through Kingdom Hearts this year on stream, and it was like, it was a good time. And like, Kingdom Hearts 2 is one of the games that I have attempted 4 or 5 times at this point, and I was young, so I never really fully got into it. Like I played as Sora, like one playthrough. That every time before that, I would get bored with my time as Roxas, and it just is like, it's not close. Like going and right now playing Final Fantasy 7 and then following it up with Final Fantasy 9, I'm way more jazzed to be playing those games than probably anything you can sling my way on the PS2.
Right. I guess briefly I should mention Kingdom Hearts 2 and Rechain of Memories. Like Kingdom Hearts was like so I played Kingdom Hearts that first day, didn't beat it, obviously. Then I eventually got Kingdom Hearts 2 from a Blockbuster and played like the first like few hours, fell in love with it, got it for my birthday that year, and then beat that, and then went back and played Kingdom Hearts 1, and that was when like
shit hit the fan.
Like I became obsessive about Kingdom Hearts. I was going on the internet and looking up fan theories and joining forums and saying I was a certain age that I wasn't, so I could like get past like the filter or whatever and like chit chat with people about Kingdom Hearts. Like I was all in. It was intense, intense obsession.
Like I do want to say or ask you the question: when was the moment like that you were like, oh, I'm just gonna love this for the rest of my life? Was it Kingdom Hearts?
Video games, like in general, I probably Kingdom Hearts 2 was like, oh man. And then like I remember like people telling me throughout my life that like, oh, you're gonna grow out of this. And then like I would talk to like dad and be like, am I gonna like have to stop playing video games at some point? And he's like, yeah, probably. Like, like at that point in his mind and a lot of adults' minds, like this was something you did when you were a kid, and then you grew up, and then like it didn't really click in my head until I started listening to maybe like Podcast Beyond when I was like 13, 14 or whatever, and like I was like, oh, people like do this for a job, and people like there's an industry and like money's involved, and like I didn't like fully wrap my head around like the maturity of all of this until probably the PS3. Like it still felt like a toy on the PS2, but something that I was definitely going to end up not doing at some point. And then PS3, like Uncharted 2 might be where it
that's my
happens.
answer. And we'll get to that in a bit. But
quick, Game Boy. I want to talk about the Game Boy because the first memory that I think might have come first was being at our family friend's house and playing Pokemon Yellow on the Game Boy. And and they called me down for lunch, and I'm like, I'm not coming. I'm playing Pokemon Yellow right now. Like, and then she was like, their mom, we call her our aunt, even though she's not like related to us. She was like, no, you have to come. And I started crying. And she's like, I'm not your mother. And I was like, but Pokemon Yellow. And I was like, I'm not eating this grilled cheese. I'm playing Pokemon Yellow right now. And I was obsessed. And then eventually I never had a color or a pocket or anything. I had the Game Boy Advanced. And I got Pokemon Yellow with that day one. And then it's kind of a blur with the Game Boy for the most part, like getting like licensed like SpongeBob games and stuff like that, like Fairly Odd Parents games. But like it was the main memories, Pokemon. Like Sapphire and Ruby and trading with friends and obsessing over that. I think Sapphire is the only one that I've played to completion. I played deep into like a lot of Pokemon games, but I was a kid, so like I don't know if I beat any of them except for Ruby Sapphire and Emerald or whatever, which is the same generation. It's just different versions. And then like I went on to play Diamond and Pearl and all of that. But like the Game Boy was Pokemon. Oh, and Chain of Memories as well. Like the fact that there was a Kingdom Hearts game that had like a deep story and like had card combat that was hard as fuck for me when I was a kid. I did not understand it. I got filtered. I could not beat that game when I was younger, but I eventually came back to play it.
It's so funny for you to talk about the Game Boy games because I gave my fair shot of Game Boy games a chance when I was really young, right? But like, I'll talk about getting filtered. I was just getting
Mario Kart, like just like there was just a lot of like smaller titles that I don't fully remember or like have like that much of a nostalgic feeling for, except for Pokemon. So that's
Yeah.
I love the Game Boy Advanced, and like I would like to get back to playing like certain games. Like I really want to play Final Fantasy VI Advanced or whatever, and experience that on the go. And I'm playing Tetris a lot. I've been playing Tetris a lot lately this year on Game Boy, just on my like little 15-minute breaks or whatever. I love Tetris. You guys are gonna find out how much I love Tetris.
He loves Tetris.
Tetris is one of the only games I'm like really good at.
Yeah.
I'm good at Tetris.
We need to pick some things up, or else we will be here for 3 hours.
We're chilling.
It's not 2 hours.
Okay,
Connor.
we're moving
It
on
is
from the
3
Game Boy.
hours.
We're gonna move into the DS. I think that is what comes next.
Yeah, for me, that's a moment that broke my brain of playing Mario Kart on the bus with some buddies.
Yeah.
Like
Dude, the race to the bus to be in the
8-person.
in the 8-person A team or whatever. There was always like a lobby with your 8 people.
Yep.
And there was a B lobby that it would have like 3 or 4 people in it.
Yeah.
You never fill up 2 lobbies.
Nope.
But you wanted to be in that A1 or whatever. So you
Yep.
would race to the bus. You would get on the bus and open up your lobby or try to join somebody else's lobby and get in there. And like, oh, it was intense.
It was intense.
It was
And
battle. It was war.
It- yeah,
in Mario
and-
Kart
and-
on the bus.
Man, oh man, did you realize real fast it wasn't about being good. It was about a lot of item luck, and to this
Yeah.
day, Mario Kart is still Mario Kart, and it's terrific. It's one of the greatest games of all time. It's just that system of items, and it's a perfect kart racer, right?
Right.
And like another one of those moments, I'm like, video games are fun. Like
Yeah.
for me, a lot of this conversation will be video games are fun.
Yeah.
And
But
yeah.
this is kind of really where the portable obsession like kind of started for us.
Yeah.
Like Nintendogs, New Super Mario Bros. For me, Kingdom Hearts 3 if I had over 2 days, like
Mario 64.
PictoChat, Mario 64, DS, like all of these games, like just I would put hundreds of hours into these games just replaying them basically. And pissing our father off and being like, "Get off the game!
Yeah.
Where's the charger?"
It's so unbelievable, and like we're gonna be discussing obviously like growing up with parents that were pretty not like against video games, but they didn't really know like how to handle that versus TV versus
Yeah, because
like,
if I had my druthers, I would always be playing video
Yeah,
games.
and
So like when it rained outside, I was like, this is the best day ever because I have an excuse to just stay inside all
Yep.
day because they always want us to be outside playing
sports
sports
or something else, yeah.
or being with our friends and everything. But I would go to a friend's house and play video games, and then I would be home and playing video games. So like I just always wanted to play video games, and luckily it's turning into something that
I was
like is
about to
actually
say,
good. But
like-
I would be remiss to not mention like Star Fox as well. I played like a Metroid game on there quite a bit.
Metroid Pinball on the DS went way too hard.
And then Pokemon, of course.
Pokemon
Diamond and Pearl.
Diamond and Pearl, dude.
Yeah.
That was my first Pokemon that blew my socks off. I gave the Game Boy ones different chances, but like Diamond and Pearl was my first like Pokemon, and I was like,
Diamond and Pearl and Sapphire and Ruby are kind of where like that was peak for me at that point of my interest in Pokemon. But that was another one of the situations where like I almost felt I was too old at that point. Like I think I was like 12 or 13, like, and it was not cool to like Pokemon anymore. And I was like, maybe I gotta stop playing this. But I remember sitting in the basement in Ohio, so I must have been like 14 or something, playing Pokemon Yellow on the Game Boy SP, like repicking it back up and being like, I think I got to like the 6th gym in one night. I was watching the movie 2012, the disaster movie on TV, and like it had that in the background, and I was playing that like all night. And
you're like, this shit's gas.
This is gas, dude. Like, Pokemon's awesome. It sucks that I don't feel the same way about it today, but yeah, that's the DS kind of briefly. I'm gonna hop into the PSP, which I don't think you have a lot of experience on.
Other than I probably played a total of 40 minutes of PSP in my life.
Yeah, the PSP was. I got that before. I think it came out before the PS3, but so I got it before the PS3. It was my introduction to the cross media bar that we saw on the PlayStation 3. My introduction to the PSN, buying a video game with a credit card on a store, like
compared to going into a shop.
Yeah, and like I had to like convince our parents to give me their credit card information and to be like trust me, like it's okay or whatever. Like it's just PlayStation. But that was a weird experience.
Yeah.
Rock Band Unplugged, which was one of my favorite games on the platform, not talked about enough. Ratchet and Clank Size Matters, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, something that I touched but didn't like really like understand at all. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, of course. Killzone Liberation. Echo Chrome was fantastic. Patapon was really good.
Did you play Crisis Core?
Yes, I played the shit out of Crisis Core. That was really my first Final Fantasy.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, because I didn't like the turn-based combat, so I was like, oh, this is action. Like, this is way more up my alley. Yep. And it was weird, but I thought it was so cool. Like the Genesis and Sephiroth and Geo fight or whatever on the Judon. Judon,
yeah.
What is it? The Judon, like, cannon or whatever?
Dude,
like,
in the slicing and just, like...
I love for the remake, for the remaster, they, like, didn't even... They were like, this looks great. Anyways, They just, like, ported it.
Yeah, dude, like, it is one of the coolest scenes in gaming history. Like, it's just cool. Like, they were like, we just want... Like, because I feel like even playing 7 right now and 7 Remake and everything, like, Sephiroth is more of an idea of, like, terror compared to, like, seeing it and seeing why he is the best in the biz, basically, and no one will ever touch or be as bad as he is. And that scene, you're just like, oh yeah, like you're the baddest that ever, you're the baddest they'll ever be.
But I lost my PSP, and then Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep was coming out, and a friend from school let me borrow it, or he said I could have it. He said I could have the PSP, so he gave it to me. I bought games on it, and then eventually he was like, I need it back, and I was like, I bought games on this, like, so I don't know what you want to do. And he's like, I will give you 2 video games for free. And he gave me, I don't remember what one of them was, but he gave me Call of Duty Black Ops 1, and we weren't allowed to play Call of Duty.
You're the story's
I know. Yeah. I'm just gonna say this briefly because it relates too much to the PSP. But he gave me Call of Duty Black Ops 1, and that changed my life forever. But that's the PSP. I loved it to death. I would really like to get into PSP collecting. That is definitely towards the top of my list of something that I would like to get into. Like, I want to get P3 portable. Like, it's gonna be awesome. Can't wait.
We've been podcasting for an hour, and we have 10 more consoles to go through.
It's gonna be great. We're having a great time. I'm sure they're loving it. Let us know if you're loving it in the comments. I'm having a great time right now.
I know. Well,
but so then we're gonna go into the Wii.
This is where I come into the fray quite a bit.
Yeah, this was like my first. This is technically like a next gen console for me because like.
Just making sure. All right, we're all good.
Okay.
Just making sure we're not shooting 2 hours of podcasting without recording. Sorry.
No, that would make me.
Connor would beat me.
Yeah. But yeah, we got the Wii Christmas Day. We did not know we were getting it.
Yes.
Our parents surprised us. This was my first home Nintendo console. Yep. I still don't really count it because I didn't buy it. And it was like the family's console. For like, I didn't buy a Nintendo console until the Switch.
Yeah.
Other than like a handheld, of course. But we got the Wii. We got Wii Sports. I don't think we got anything else that day. But what do you need,
dude?
What do you need?
The game. Like, I remember writing into a kind of funny thing, being like, "What's your Christmas memory? Like, what do you remember from Christmas?" And I know that it's the same story that hundreds, thousands of kids had that day, where they opened it up, and it's not just about opening it, screaming, getting really excited. But it was that night, playing with your family, and before Christmas dinner and after Christmas dinner, Wii Sports, making Mii's, smoking your grandma and bowling. Like, it's the quintessential Christmas console moment for this generation, in my opinion. And, like, for my peers. And, like, a lot of people are like, you're that young? Yes, I'm that young. Like, when it comes to where my gaming knowledge and history comes into play. Because I know a lot of people had that moment with the PS2 and PS1 and N64 and Dreamcast. Like, you just go further back, whatever your moment was. But, like, there's a large difference, in my opinion, from any of those previous consoles and then what the Wii presented with Wii Sports. Right. Like, it was everyone could play, and everyone was playing. Like, I don't know if it will ever be replicated in a way that is so accessible. Like, Xbox 360 Connect tried to do something similar, but it wasn't.
I know we all got sick of it really fast, but it was really cool.
It was a good idea.
Like, the fact that people, like, we have to respect it. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah. Like, it was so good they forced it down our throat on the Xbox One, right?
And and they forced it kind of down our throat on the PS3 with the PlayStation Move. Like, they wanted it for a while.
Yeah.
Like, everybody wanted a piece of that pie. It just died off really fast. But that was legitimately, like, other than the PS2, because I didn't know what video games were, basically. So that was a surprise, but I had no context, really. I wasn't obsessed with video games at this point. I was obsessed with video games by the time we got the Wii, and this was the only Christmas gift video game related that I was legitimately surprised about.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was coming.
Yep.
I had no interest in the Wii at that point. I honestly don't even know if I really understood what the Wii was. Like,
was it 200 on release day? $200?
No, I think it was
300
or 250. I don't know. It wasn't that bad, but like it was hard to get. I think it was out for a year by the time we got it. It was really hard to get at first.
I know, that's the thing.
That's the thing. It's like I don't think anybody fucking had it for the first year, basically, because you couldn't find it. Yeah. We might be wrong on that, but I'm not sure. But legitimate surprise. Wii was kind of really, other than the DS, was like a big introduction to Nintendo.
It was all the party games. It was so Kart. It was, even though we had it on the DS, but
Kart,
it was Mario Kart.
But that was like so next level in comparison.
Mario Party, even like just these things that are normal staples for a lot of gaming history.
Boom blocks.
Yeah.
My introduction to Animal Crossing with City
dude,
Folk. Yeah,
City
we played
Folk
the fuck out of City Folk. Nobody talks about City Folk.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It might be the second best or the best Animal Crossing experience.
It's just pure. It's like it doesn't complicate things so much. So, but like it's still like is engaging. My introduction to Smash Bros.
Dude,
with Brawl and Subspace Emissary and like
Subspace Emissary to this day we'll eventually do it. We'll eventually do it on stream.
That would be awesome.
But like. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Because it is you collecting fighters, losing your mind, like, and being like
finding
who's
like
next?
the secret ones or whatever. Like
Fox,
Wolf.
dude. Oh, sorry,
Wolf.
Wolf.
It was Wolf and Jigglypuff was one of them that was secret. There was others, but like.
And then even like we didn't get to appreciate it as much, but even having Snake in that game.
Yeah, I had no idea. I didn't care
Yeah.
about Snake at all, but like I know it was big and a hype moment for a lot of people. And then Mario. New Super Mario Bros. Wii, fantastic, and playing that with friends.
Playing that with you and the constant throwing into fighters and jumping off and it created what I want from a co-op Mario experience from the 2D space.
And then WarioWare,
Smooth Moves,
Rayman, Rabbids, the Rabbids mini games or whatever. I remember playing those quite a bit. Sam and Max and Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people, which I mentioned today in the top 50 or whatever. Like playing that at our friend's house and him showing me those were really interesting.
I mean, also you throw in Strikers.
Mario Strikers,
unbelievable, super fun. Like this podcast is the gamer version of naming.
You're in my head. You're in my head.
Role players on NBA teams from the 2000s.
That.
We're just going back and forth, being like, "This game."
You remember this one? Wii Sports Resort, of course, next level, and then Wii Fit. Dude, Wii Fit took over our lives. I cared about my weight all of a sudden.
I know Wii Fit was a huge moment for. Wii Sports Resort was the sleepover for me.
It wasn't
for
me.
Years.
I played it quite a bit, but I didn't really get that into it.
But it's one of those things that we do have a couple of different moments in our gaming history, especially now that I'm sort of in the picture. And when we get to the PS3, it's the PS3 was everything for me, right? And so it's pretty unbelievable to be like, dude, the Wii had some bangers and really created what. Obviously, there's things that came before it and certain Mario Karts and stuff. But this, in my opinion, was okay, what are we going to get from a 3D Mario? What are we going to get from a 2D Mario? What are we going to get from all these different franchises that we know and love? Now we have them in their best iterations on the Switch, and that is super important, super cool, and I'm all for it.
And I had touched Mario Galaxy, borrowing it from a friend's house, never beat it. And then it's kind of the same deal with Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. I didn't touch Skyward Sword until the Switch version, but I did pick up Twilight Princess and thought it was cool. I just never beat it or never really kind of got drawn into it. So yeah, that's the Wii. Fantastic console, love it. We are moving into the PlayStation 3, which timeline wise, I got that in 2009. So 3 years after the console launched, I got it with Uncharted 2 and Little Big Planet day one. Or the first day that I had it.
We can touch on hundreds of games for the PS3. The only two that I legitimately want to discuss is Uncharted 2 was the game for me. It was the game that legitimately not only made me fall in love with video games, but it showed me that, like, this is what a game can be. And I think that happened for a lot of people, where even if you've been playing for a decade plus, just being like, this level of story, action, visuals,
set pieces, like characters,
the
like everything about it. I was like, this is the most realistic game I've ever seen in my entire life.
Like, I remember going and being like, this is more than what I could ever imagine to see.
And we also played it with freaking AV cables on CRT televisions for the first 3 years. I did not hook up an HDMI cord to the HD console for the first 3 years of playing it, because we had our big TV in the living room, and that was for the family. And then we had the CRT, which was still a big Sony 25-inch box of that weighed 2 tons. But I was using that for playing Call of Duty and for playing Uncharted and stuff like that. So I still thought it looked ridiculously next level at that point. Sorry.
So I adore this game. This is a game that if we ever years and years down the line have a Nick top 50 list, that it might be my top 5.
Nick, you're forgetting about the end cap though.
Oh, I know that The Last of Us end caps this console, and dude. I know that we can tell stories about me getting in trouble for playing this game for the first time, and
oh, you did?
Yeah. Do you not remember this? Yeah. I got to the moment that I'm trying not to spoil The Last of Us, which is weird to try not to do, but I think that I will always try to not spoil it. The first season's about to end, and there's a lot of swear words, and I remember I'm gonna just a family friend telling on me, being like, "Hey, they're saying the F word a lot," and then I remember rebuying it years later.
Did you do it your own PS3 or no?
No, but I got my own PS4.
Okay.
And when I got my own PS4 in 2015, I got The Last of Us Remastered, and I had to convince Dad, being like, it's basically an Uncharted game, same people that made it. He's like, they swear though. And I'm like, don't worry about it, right? And he swiped the card, and I felt so uncomfortable during certain moments of that game, because it's violent. But
yeah.
But so that's the only game I really want to touch on. And then Little Big Planet was my ultimate platform.
Little Big Planet and Little Big Planet 2, fantastic.
Yep.
But I'm just gonna kind of rip it here, dude.
Because
this was the most formative console for me, and what made me fall in love with video games, kind of what we talked about earlier, where this is where I started listening to Podcast Beyond and started following gaming news. And this is where I remember watching E3 for the first time when I was playing the PS3 and the Xbox 360 and console wars and those conversations. Dude, I never really had that before then.
I think that the second huge gaming thing during this time, the reason that I have fallen in love with it, and a huge thing is if I want to be known for anything in the entire gaming industry, it's the fact that I know ball when it comes to E3s and presentations and stuff like that. That is something that I'm very equipped for. And that all comes back to literal pillow forts in our basement watching E3.
For frame of reference, rest in peace E3, but every single year we would build a blanket fort in our basement, and we would put a TV in there and lock in for hours and hours of E3, watching every press conference and eating snacks and ripping Mountain Dew and having a good time. But and then this led all the way to me having an apartment right after graduating high school, and I did it in that apartment, and it was the biggest year yet. That was with Bethesda E3 and everything, and we were having a good time when I was 18 and and have my own place. But it was different, but it was the same. It was still that exciting Christmas of video games every single year. But PS3, Infamous, the Batman Arkham games, Resistance, Killzone, Bioshock. I played Bioshock 2 first, and then went back and played Bioshock 1. Then Bioshock Infinite as well. Call of Duty. This is kind of where the love of Call of Duty Black Ops 1 blew my mind. My first M-rated game though was God of War.
For me, it's Black Ops
3. Where if you have Christian parents, not a good game to start with.
There is certain things that we will. it's gonna be really interesting when we get to the point in the story of like our parents were like, oh, okay, like this is something that not only there was the moment that they accepted that game would be part of Connor's life forever, right? And it wasn't like a like super heck yeah moment. It was just like, okay, this is just a thing. Like we need to just come to this conclusion. And then for me, it probably, you can even say, was
they were like, they never wanted Nick to like really kind of follow in the same footsteps as me because they felt like it was like a waste of time. I don't really want to get into like our like family
we don't
conversations
it's not like, because here's the thing, I even like to some regard was like, where is the point of this? And like having conversations.
Where's the point in anything? Where's the point in anything?
You would have that conversation and be like, well, it's just like what you spend your time and what media you do, and like watching movies versus gaming
or
versus reading
sports.
a book or a sports. Or
we're
like,
all just wasting time.
Like what's your entertainment? Like even this podcast right now. And
if
like,
you're having fun, it's not a waste of time.
Exactly.
That's really it.
And so yeah.
So yeah, the PS3, GTA 4, GTA 5,
GTA 5 on that giant screen in the basement, and like
I couldn't that was like I playing on I played Call of Duty Black Ops 1 Zombies on the HGTV. That's when it started or whatever.
Yep.
And Dead Space 1 and 2. Oh, fucking Mass Effect.
Mass Effect 2. I just cannot get over the fact that this is just role players. Like, we're just naming games. Dude, this game?
Dude, like, Mass Effect 2 became, in 3, I got to it later than everybody else. I got to Mass Effect 2 later than everybody else, and then as I was finishing Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3 came out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit. And I remember, this was the first time I downloaded a video game that was, like, a big video game, on PS3. It was 13 gigabytes, and it took 2 days.
Yep.
I was like, I just want to play Mass Effect 3 so badly. And I was like, if this, like, corrupts or has some sort of issue, like the internet goes out and, like, has to restart, I was like, I'm going to die. Like, it's not going to be good. But, yeah, Mass Effect 2 and 3 and the fact that games can connect and everything. And I was like, oh, my God.
Can I get it? There's a console in between this console and that one that I want to discuss. This was also the moment around 2012 that I bought my first N64.
Okay.
And like that for me was
but Alex Winstonreed also had like retro consoles as well, and I was playing
the Super Mario games like at Alex's, but also like
Mario Party
and stuff like that. But for me, it was the mind blowing thing was sleepovers, GoldenEye, Mario Kart 64. Those two games carried like it would be. Okay, we have 8 guys. Let's do brackets. First to 10 wins. So we would watch 30-something games of GoldenEye. Mm-hmm. And then the next 4 people would play 30-something games of GoldenEye. And everyone's still watching. Like, no one's on their phones. No one's doing anything. You're just locked in watching GoldenEye. And they were, like, greatest purchase I've ever made. Like, when we're talking about just, like, I think I spent $100 on a console, a ton of games, 4 controllers. Like, we got it off eBay. And it just provided endless joy. And that, for me, is, like, why I love... Like, my love of Nintendo really doesn't even come from the Wii. It doesn't come from the Switch. I've never owned a Switch. I have a lot of love for the Wii U, and I have a lot of love for the N64. The N64 is one of those consoles that I'm like... The whole fun per minute thing, I think, is the king of like just consistent fun per minute, and so I adore that. That was right after we got a couple years before PS3, and then before me attempting to buy 17 and a half Xbox 360s.
My God, yeah. So we're gonna have a conversation with Xbox next. But first, last thing.
Oh my God!
We need to mention this. The most important game on PS3, Nick. What is it?
I have no idea.
PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Dude, we played this game at sleepovers for years. Freaking sudden death. Dude, when that showed up, when you were tied up at the end, because we would always do the time-based, not stock. You would do time-based, and then it was like sudden death, and you're playing with 3 people, you don't know who is tied up, and then it goes again, but it's the third person who wasn't tied up with you two, and then you go again sometimes, and we were like, again! We were losing our minds.
That game, once again, fun for a minute. You take out the fact that it's not really a great fighting game, but It allows for awesome moments, and that's what it did.
The clutch up final second kill or whatever to tie it up to then go into overtime, and then like
it just created moments for us, and
Yeah.
like it for me introduced me to the roster of PlayStation characters.
Yeah, a
where
lot of characters I
it
didn't know.
was like
Parappa the Rapper.
Parappa, and it was for me even Kratos. Who the heck is this Kratos guy? He's the God of War.
Yeah.
He's too OP. No one's allowed to play it.
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank's back in. Little Sackboys, and like a lot of these mascots that like I now am just so familiar with. This was my introduction. I mean, yeah, you're right. We would have been remiss to not
Get us
discuss that.
another PlayStation All Stars, please, Sony. We're begging you.
Dude, just put Sony Santa Monica, same deal with Naughty Dog. Just $20 remaster.
Yeah.
Add Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
Done.
Fair enough.
Boom.
Xbox 360.
This for me was, to this day, definitely 100% my most played console. Like,
Really?
Oh, with a bullet. The amount of times that me and my buddy Sam, best buddy from childhood, would be playing Call of Duty Zombies. So this was Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, especially Black Ops 2 Zombies. Hundreds of hours playing gun games and multiplayer matches. Like, this is where, for
You were
me,
online playing?
not
360?
online.
Just
It was just at friends' houses.
Yeah,
but it would be...
that's mainly my experience with the
like
360 as well.
because my friend was 10 minutes walk over, and obviously I didn't want to play games at my place that were M-rated because my parents would let me, so I would go to my friend's place. And also it was Halo Reach. Like,
Yeah.
those games are just such a definitive time and moment. And then Minecraft, like,
Yeah, Minecraft, Halo Reach, and Halo 3 for me were like
Yeah.
just friends' houses, like playing through the campaign in one night.
Yeah.
I remember watching a friend play Fallout 3. He was
Dude.
like, "You want to come sleep over?" And I was like,
Grant?
"Yeah." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'll come sleep over at your place." And he's like, "Oh, I just got this new Fallout game." And I was like, "Is it multiplayer?" He's like, "No, it's single player." He's like, "You're just gonna watch me." And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So then I fell asleep, and then I remember waking up because I think that there was a review that was going to come out for a Call of Duty game that night, like that was launching, and I was like, oh, okay, it's midnight, that should be out now. And I checked it, and it got a good review score, and then I went back to bed.
Call of Duty Ghost playing over my buddy Nate's place.
Ghost,
like,
dude.
we went and stayed up all night playing the previous one. We went to GameStop, bought it, and that, like, just the 360 provided endless like memories. And when I think of
It's the split
sleepovers,
screen. It's the split
split
really.
screen. It really is.
Until Halo 4 for me.
Yeah.
Which we got Halo. I got an Xbox off of Craigslist, an original Xbox 360 that could red ring and definitely did red ring, and then you wrapped it in a towel to try to like overcook it or something, and then it would fix the problem for a period of time.
An ass console when it
Right.
came to design.
Yeah.
I love the games, but
Because you got a 360 as well that
I
was
got
an
two.
Elite that you put on top of the the TV box
Yep.
that like vented out the top
Yep.
and then cooked the inside, and then that red ringed as well, which wasn't even supposed to be able to happen. But I was like, Nick, this is obviously what happened.
once again I was like 12. Like,
Yeah,
like, I'm not
you didn't
smart.
know. But so Halo 4, I love Halo 4. I know a lot of people have weird feelings about it at this point. It definitely doesn't have the best multiplayer, but I really do love the campaign for Halo 4. So
I remember you obsessing. That was that came out during Thanksgiving time, right?
yes.
And yeah, we just dove in during that Thanksgiving break.
we
I
went
watched.
nuts.
I think I watched literally you play that entire campaign, and you were up till like 4 a.m. that first night.
Yeah, I was staying up really late playing
Yep.
it, and then I just wanted to finish it so then I could get to the multiplayer.
Yep.
Because the multiplayer, I knew about Halo multiplayer,
Yeah.
but fortunately, it just wasn't
Not
up to
as-
snuff.
not as,
I really liked it, but I had nothing to compare it
Yep.
to.
I played a decent amount of
Yeah.
Halo 4 multiplayer. Yeah.
PS4,
Oh gosh, we're
Big one.
so deep in this podcast.
big one. I get in line on Black Friday because they have a deal on the PlayStation Vita. This is 2 weeks after the PS4 had come out.
Yep.
Hard to get at this point still. I'm in line at GameStop. They have a clipboard of inventory. Going down the line, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And then he gets to me. He said my mom had given me her credit card to be able to buy the Vita as a Christmas gift for myself, that she would then put under the tree and give to me. And they get to me, and I'm like, do you have any PS4s left? And they were like, we have one left. And I was like, I'm taking it. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get this opportunity again. I call my mom. I'm like, hey, it's late at this point. I'm like,
It's
hey.
so late.
I'm like, hey, I'm going to get the PlayStation 4. I'll pay you back, basically. and I had a job at this point. I probably should not have done that. That is very selfish of me, but
So irresponsible.
At first it was like, this is going to be a Christmas gift, and then I get home, it's like 2 a.m.
Yep.
and I set it up immediately. I was like, I can't wait. So I played. I didn't have any games for it. I just had the PlayStation, but then I got Resogun. And I had Call of Duty Ghosts.
Yep.
And that was it. And then eventually, like, I just kind of like kept piecing it together. I got Killzone Shadowfall. I waited for Infamous Second Son. But this console, like, ended up being the end-all, be-all for, like, just the next 6 years. Like, the titles that came out.
The greatest story game console
right.
of all time. And it's not close, in my opinion. Even with the 360 being as just star-studded as it is.
I think the PS1's better, but
Mass Effect, you have BioShock, the Arkham games. Like these are like the third-party goats. Skyrim, Assassin's Creed,
Skyrim. Oh, we didn't even mention like Fallout or Skyrim.
Like
really,
it's unbelievable what these games were, and I still am like, hold my beer. Like it's unbelievable.
I almost feel like we don't even need to really list.
No,
let's just do some highlights real fast. PlayStation 4, The Last of Us Part 2. Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, Final Fantasy VII remake,
dude,
God of War.
So I also though this for me this conversation about the PS4 this is not a conversation about the PS4 when we're talking about our gaming history. We all know the games. We all know what would lead, not just you as someone that has a history with PlayStation. That was always our main console. But for me, the way I fell in video games was, like you said, 2013 is Podcast Beyond. You showing me Kind of Funny. Like, that was the thing that totally, it blew up my life. Like, geez Louise, right? And to realize, like, holy shit, like, I just like their Marvel podcast. But then all of a sudden it was, well, what's Games Daily look like? And then getting into the daily gaming news and just having a podcast, which also, like, being on the East Coast, they wouldn't start doing podcasts till like 11 back then on the West Coast. So it was like, cool, I just got out of, I'm going to whatever sport I'm going to at the time. I'm going to throw in Games Daily because it's happening live right now.
I think we were in high school when Games Daily was happening because I was in college.
Yep. And it blew my mind. Well, it's still happening, but it blew my mind of like what a daily podcast to be. And like, this is the coolest job ever.
At Colin and Greg Live, and then breaking off to because I had that first summer
for me, I never
where I was really into Game Over Greggy show, and then got into Kind of Funny once they switched off, and then like everything was changing all so fast, and like it was very exciting to follow along with.
2017 for me, so I was post Colin like leaving, and so it was Games Daily for me. Like that was like the start of everything, and it blew me away in such a like tangible way. Like I'll never forget you showing me the first Kind of Funny podcast now, or it used to be called the Game Over Greg show. You showed me that and just like what a podcast is.
I didn't know what a podcast was until then. That's when I had like a job and I was like, oh, like I have a summer job. I can keep a headphone in for my entire day. This is going to get me through my entire day. And it was awesome. And I had 70 episodes to go through at that point.
And then 2018, I started my journey of going through every single Game Over Greggy's show, which at that point was like 200.
We cannot let this become a Game Over Greggy podcast.
But what I'm saying is like the PlayStation 4 era was not just about the terrific games that led me to this point, because the end of the PlayStation 4 going into PS5 was like the reason I started doing content. Mm-hmm. And the year after the PlayStation 5 release is the first time we shot a podcast together, and like that is obviously such a boost into why I play video games. But like that is what it is. Like if we're talking about our gaming history, this show doesn't exist without those definitive moments of like, oh my god, what? Like it was the moment you said earlier in this podcast of like, oh, you realized there was a gaming industry. For me, I realized there was a gaming industry.
So that was PS3 for me, and it was PS4.
PS4 for me, and I fell in love. Like I like the mixture between. I also think that like the PlayStation 4 wasn't necessarily even about the games at a certain point. It was PSX, The Last of Us 2 trailer. Mm-hmm. Like, that comes out, you shoot me the link, like, it was a game changer.
It's embarrassing to say. I cried like a baby.
Oh.
Like I was sitting in my apartment so happy, and bawling.
Yeah.
I was bawling. I could not believe we were getting a sequel to this, and it was such an amazing. I'm getting chills right now thinking about it. Like the crowd reacting and screaming when the Firefly logo comes up, and then it goes into like more after that. Like I thought that was gonna be it, and then it says part 2 at the end. I was like, oh Dude, my god!
You send me that, I got full chills, literally full chills.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude, that's aggressive.
I know. It's because it is the moment.
It's so exciting.
It is not just pure excitement, but it was. You text me that, me being like at a friend's place, literally being like, everyone needs to shut up. And we were playing GTA 5 at this point. So this is classic high school. You're playing GTA at a buddy's place, and we're just trying to survive and stars and everything, right? And like, this happens. I tell everyone to shut up. No one cares because everyone there was Xbox people. They just grew up on Xbox. They never played The Last of Us. Some of them had not even heard of The Last of Us. And I was like, this is the biggest moment of my year. Like this is like the sequel.
PSX, dude, bring back PSX.
I would do so many things for a PSX.
I would love to go to one.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like as much as we loved E3, we did discuss being like, what if one day we were able to go to E3? And now the fact that is so dead and gone. Like it's not even close to like a potential thing that could happen. It's not only sad, but it is like a deep breath moment of like,
damn,
where it's over. Like that there will never be anything like that. So sorry, that is for me. When I think of the PlayStation 4, I don't necessarily think of the games, but I do think of the games. I think of the podcast and understanding what the industry is, and then also the like watching E3 and seeing the Uncharted first tease at E3 at Sam's place and being like,
yeah. Because Nathan Drake didn't even look like freaking Nathan Drake for the Uncharted 4 tease. And also, that wasn't the game that we got at all. That was when Amy Hennig was running it. What we got was very different. But, like, I was like, this is next gen, baby. This is the future.
This was when graphics still...
I was like, this can't get any better. And they really haven't gotten that much better.
I played Uncharted 4 2 years ago, and I'm like... right after playing The Last of Us Part 2. And The Last of Us Part 2, I still think is probably the best looking game of all time.
Red Dead Redemption 2, maybe.
Red Dead's up there. I think the latest Horizon's up there. But it's... Alan Wake 2 is also up there. It's pretty unbelievable what that team was able to do back in 2016 with the power of the console and starting to understand what the PS4 really could provide.
Let's roll real fast. Let's just bang these next 3 out pretty quick.
I have one quick one for the Xbox One.
Okay, we're going to break into the Xbox One. I bought it for Titanfall and then sold it pretty shortly after
So Titanfall, there was a summer or a few weeks where all I did my entire life was watch How I Met Your Mother and play Titanfall. And I would just go back and forth between doing those two things. I watched, I'm not kidding, 8 seasons of a television show and played easily like 50 or 60 hours of Titanfall in the span of like 3 months. Like it was so much fun. Oh my gosh.
There's 3 eras for the Xbox One for me. It was the Titanfall era, then I sold that Xbox One. I sold my entire PS3 collection and the PS3 to buy an Xbox One for one video game. I regret it still to this day. Then I bought another one in college, a Xbox One S, to play Cuphead and PUBG.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, I think it was worth it.
Yeah.
For like $200 or whatever, sold that to be able to buy more games or whatever. Bought a Xbox One original, like the fat one, off of Craigslist right before COVID happened.
And ripped
there was cigarette smoke in it, like cigarette ashes in it. I had to like wash the Xbox One, but it was like $50 or whatever. So it was like nothing. I was like, whatever. And I had already I was at the door and I was like, I'm already here. I don't want to back out, honestly. So I bought it and I went home and cleaned it. And then I played all of the Master Chief Collection in succession, and then played 5 as well. And it was a magical experience. I loved it. Xbox One's just not a great console. Tough era for
relied on third party.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the Xbox fall.
I got a 3DS, but I played very little 3DS. It was Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. It was I'm like totally blanking. I played a little bit of Ocarina of Time on that, so that was one of the first games I got on there. Animal Crossing New Horizon, of course. That was probably the biggest game on there for me was New Horizon.
You're forgetting a huge core me memory with the Wii U.
Okay.
Oh, dude.
Oh, Smash on the 3DS.
Smash on the 3DS was a big thing that like we discussed, but like, and what's core for you, but like the Wii U for me, Smash, Wii U, and Mario Kart 8, sleepovers forever.
I barely touched it.
I know. For me, it was though. I will never forget me. I'm gonna stick in obviously first names. Me, Connor, not you, a different Connor, Junior, and Owen playing at like. There's a whole sleepover happening around us of like 15 other people. Mm-hmm. We did not care. We played every course all the way through, and there was one goal because 3 of us did not own a Wii U, and Owen did. It was beat Owen in one race because all he did was like go for PRs on each course. And there was one time we're on the greatest map probably ever, Sunshine Airport, baby, and he gets 3rd place. Did it come from 3 blue shells or just like the largest amount of BS to like allow this? 100%.
Right.
But it was also like race like 48. Where like we've been playing for like 60. I'm pretty sure we were supposed to play 64 races. For 47 straight races, we just got dogged on. And then we won one race. We're not even all of us won. One person, I think I remember who it is, it's not important, did not even beat him. And it was still the best moment of the night. And like then we straight up played from 10 until like 4 a.m. And then the next day was the opening of Kings Island, which is an amusement park, with no sleep. Mm-hmm. No sleep. I then rode roller coasters. It was one of my favorite days of gaming history.
Yeah, I don't have the Wii U on here, but is that all you want to touch on?
And then I played like
Splatoon. I played at friends' houses.
I just so much.
Nintendo Land, dude. You played anything?
No, I just played a lot of Smash, where like Low Match became my main.
I played Smash in college on the Wii U, but it quickly turned into Smash Ultimate. For the rest of college.
But also this is like for me those sleepovers were also the GameCube got broken out all the time. So much stuff.
I want to talk about retro stuff at the end.
Okay.
We're just gonna kind of break that down really quick. So then for me, it's the PS Vita, which I eventually got. I don't really know what order of like the Xbox One, 3DS, PS Vita. Like I don't know which came first and when. But PS Vita was where I really got into trophy collecting.
Yep.
And this was highlighted for me with Persona 4 Golden, Hitman Go, Killzone Mercenaries, Uncharted Golden Abyss, and a lot of indie stuff, smaller things like Fez and Dead Nation from Housemarque, and Thomas Was Alone, like smaller stuff that like I really enjoyed. And it was really kind of me opening my eyes to a lot of indie games. We forgot to mention Journey on
PS3.
On PS3. Oh, Limbo I think was on PS Vita. I played that for the first time on there. Like a lot of smaller stuff. I love the Vita. I want another Sony handheld so badly. The Vita is better in almost every way than the PSP, but the PSP like has just a more solid lineup.
It has the games, and at the end of the day, all that matters when it comes to a console is the games.
And then we're gonna jump into the Switch, which was my first purchased Nintendo home console that I bought day one. I could not get a pre-order for it, so I waited in line at a Meijer, which did not take pre-orders, so it was just first come, first serve. We brought lawn chairs, me and my roommates at the time, and I had to go to a class. It was a 3-hour-long class that I had once a week. But I got in line at like 6, went to class at like, it was a late class too. It was like 7 to 10. But he let us out early, and I talked to him about it. Like, he let us out at like 9 something. We never went the full 3 hours. And then I had a friend come sit. Miles came and sat for me for 2 hours. Then I came and got back in line. Me and him were first in line. I got a Zelda special edition, which came with like the case and the map and everything. And I ran home. I sprinted home. We had to park like way far out for the free parking from our dorm, and I sprinted home and played it that night. And it ruined Horizon Zero Dawn for me because I was so blown away by Breath of the Wild. And then the Switch has just remained. It's been a mostly first party console for me. Like I don't break it out as much as I would like. Every single time I use it, I'm like, damn, this thing's good. It's usually just playing with friends, but like when that big first party game comes around, I'm like, yes, dude, the Switch is awesome.
For me, I'd be remiss not to tell this story. Like 2017, a couple, like only 1 or 2 friends had it for high school, right? Mm-hmm. 2018, right before Christmas, there was a game that that summer got announced and like really shown off, and that was Smash. And obviously, I have these memories with Wii U Smash and N64 Melee and a ton on Brawl. Then I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. But there was a couple friends that were so into it, and December 8th, I will never forget. Like all week, just talking about we're gonna do. I'm gonna pick it up with my buddy Tori, who gave us the first mic I ever shot a podcast on. Not this mic, a different Yeti, but we're gonna pick it up. And I'm gonna drive you, and we're gonna bring our buddy Ian with us, and we're gonna pick it up, and then you're gonna bring your thing over to our other friend's house, Matt and Scott's, because that's just where everyone normally hangs out, and we're just gonna play 8-player Smash until our fingers fall off, and it's gonna be so much fun. And I like the night before, I was like, there's no world where this lives up to the hype, like there just isn't. And then not only did it live up to the hype, but like if we're talking about like my favorite gaming memories ever when it comes to the definition of fun per minute was just nonstop 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-player Smash. Everyone's figuring out their mains. We're unlocking all the characters, and we played and shout out to the parents of that family that hosted us, because they would that entire weekend kept us well fed and well snacked up and like everything. We played nonstop, so much so that shout out to Tori, he left his Switch over our friend's place just because he knew that like that was Mecca to like play Smash at. Everyone would just like the next morning after the 8th, the 9th, they were like picking up their Christmas tree, and I remember all of us like calling each other being like, when's the tree happening? We can help put ornaments up. We need to get back to playing this freaking game. And it was like, I know everyone has their unlocking all the characters moment, and I know like that this is such a commonplace thing, but it wasn't just shared. Like this was also like a newer, like the friend group was finally fulfilled. Like it finally was like, I finally was accepted into this group, and the group just understood all this love around gaming and what this could be. And then multiple people that Christmas got Switches, and we were able to play. It wasn't the same but it was once again unlocking the characters. The Switch provided that, and then I'm just going to briefly say, and then I go to college and have had so many fond memories of playing party games and Burial Kart. Like it's the amount of fun that Burial Kart provided for me in college is like a core memory. And then when it wasn't Burial Kart, it was betting push-ups on Mario Kart. I've played easily 1,000 hours of this at this point in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like it's the perfect ultimate party system. And then there's games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Fire Emblem Three Houses,
Metroid Dread, dude.
Metroid Dread, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Smash Ultimate, of course. Like,
we're just entering the moment again. Like,
you have to do this every time. Like, where like it just they have put out games at such a clip that like those directs every year were
first 4 years were
exciting, dude. Like it was like, when are we gonna get the Animal Crossing game? When are we gonna get the Smash game? When are we gonna get a Pikmin game? Like it was all just like the next thing, and
Bayonetta, dude.
It always felt like it was always coming down the line.
Yep.
And there was always something to be excited about, and it almost always delivered.
Yeah.
So like,
I have a serious question. When did it not deliver? Because every single time that it was a big game or a big franchise, I'm like, oh, this is the best version of this game.
I'm not saying like necessarily
Mario Odyssey, dude.
Oh, Mario Odyssey, of course, yeah. Like Mario Wonder now as well. Like I mean, like I think this year has been the weakest year for the Switch in the. Well, I guess that's fair. I think it's just. I know Mario Wonder's great or whatever, but like I think Tears is like the highlight.
Pikmin 4, dude.
Ah, shit. Yeah,
Advance Wars.
Yeah.
Reboot.
All right. Okay.
I was going to say there's been a couple of years that were a little bit more lackluster, that were more reliant.
But I guess you're talking about like the Fire Emblem, Octopath, and
I mean, Octopath was what was 2017.
Well, isn't
and
so,
then
no.
2019 was Three Houses, but 2019 was also a Pokemon year. For me, it was 2020 was like the first question mark because it was just Animal Crossing, and then 2021 was like 2021, 2022. We're gonna like look back on and be like, these were the weaker years of the Switch. I think this year fully delivered for what I would want from a console year. Anyways, great console.
Switch. Then I got a PC for the first time. That was a whole odyssey, but I am currently gaming on a HP Omen 15 laptop with an external keyboard and mouse so my hands don't cook. But that's where I've fallen in love with esports through Valorant, and playing Cyberpunk on that was fantastic, and mouse and keyboard, and kind of getting into that space. For shooters, it's ruined first person shooters for me on controller. Like, I have to play them on mouse and keyboard at this point. But PC gaming, something that I'm hoping to get even further into. I will always have a sweet spot for consoles, and that'll always be like one of my main modes of playing. But yeah, I love PC gaming.
For me, the like, this is probably the moment before. This is before next gen. We're still pre next gen.
Yeah.
During COVID, it was the moment. Like, it was the time to be like, I want to start shooting content.
Yeah.
And I didn't know exactly what that was going to look like. And so, but I just knew I wanted to. Like, I just knew that, like, I talk too much to not put a fucking mic in front of my face. Like,
right.
That was what I kept going back to.
Because Nick and I were having these conversations on the phone about video games constantly. And,
Yeah.
and Nick was calling me multiple times a week, and the conversations would go for an hour plus about
consistently.
Video games.
Yep.
Mostly.
Like, especially 2020, you talk about Animal Crossing, into Final Fantasy VII Remake, into The Last of Us, into Ghost. Like,
Doom Eternal is somewhere in there as well.
Yeah,
like,
that's at the start with Animal Crossing, came out the same date. But, like, it became one of those things that it was like, okay, like, we're just doing this. And then, once again, I'd be remiss not to say, like, the Easy Allies Hall of Greats got me through my job at that point of, like, that's just what I would throw on. And starting to really, like, try to understand how to make content. Not, like, for me, it wasn't just, like, gaming content. That's what a subsect of what I wanted to do was. But I was just like, I just want to produce something. And so 2020 produced a lot of stuff, but 2020 remember calling out of work and, like, morning of calling in sick for the PlayStation 5 reveal event. Because this was the first time ever I cared enough about something like that to really dial it in. And greatest showcase ever, probably.
one of them, yeah.
Like, just to deliver Spider-Man Miles Morales, Deathloop, Resident Evil 8, Horizon Forbidden West to close it out, and then to show off the console. It was
later. The next one was Final Fantasy 16, right?
And God of War and the gameplay of Miles Morales. Those two 1-2 punch are, like, I think need to be legitimately studied on how to do a showcase.
But I mean, I feel like there's not really a lot to say on the PS5 at this point. The history is still being written here.
But I do think that this is also an opportunity to be like, yeah, getting the PS5 day one was like, that for me was a first. Like, I got my PS4 in 2015, I think.
I got my PS4 basically day one.
Yeah.
2 weeks after it came out.
And so to go and be like, okay, getting this day one, calling you all night, stressing until 3 a.m, dealing with freaking Best Buy because they released everything early. Like, I remember watching that gaming showcase and literally said, when I look back at college, this will be one of the greatest days of my college life, because I skipped all my classes, just watched this, made cookies, listened to PS I Love You, and, like, was just blown away, and then just consumed hours of content, and then calling you, working with mom.
I couldn't believe I got one.
Yeah,
like, I got
so you got one, and then I almost got one, and then it didn't work out, and I wanted to start crying because I was like, I missed my chance. And then when you stayed up with me to be like, Warrior64 tweeted this, we got to go to this website and try this one now. And surely enough, it worked out, and I was like, this is one of the best moments ever. And then to get Miles Morales and beat it in one day, and then 2 weeks later beat it in one day again, like, I adore this console, but I adore that it was this 2020. I look back as my favorite year in gaming. I'm not to say it's the best year of gaming, it might be, but not to say it's the best, because 2021, the first fundraiser stream I did to get my PC, and I just want to touch on PC. To get my PC, I had to do a fundraiser stream to shoot the content and everything. And you called me up around 3-4 hours in, being like, hey, we should add a gaming podcast to this lineup of other shit you want to do. And that's when we, a week later, shot our Game of the Year 2020 podcast. And rest is, we've been podcasting for 2 years.
On and off.
Like, super not seriously, but we just wanted to make those phone calls that we had. Let's just throw them on there, a schedule of some sort. And now it's a little different.
So we should move into.
But Valorant PC, super cool,
Yeah.
and also that's my Game Pass box now. I play all my Game Pass games there.
Right.
I love it.
That has been nice to invest in Game Pass and just give them $10 a month for nothing. Or something.
Or Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon, 2021.
Halo Infinite, man. Yeah.
Halo Infinite for those first.
That campaign, I love that campaign.
It's a great campaign. Never beat it. But I played so many hours of it to not beat it. I think I'm I still have a save. I think I'm right on the last mission.
So that leads me into 2022, getting into retro collecting, getting a PS1 and SNES, then getting a N64, a GameCube, an NES Classic.
Are we going to be touching on every?
No. I just think it's important to say, obviously we missed a lot of these consoles.
Yeah.
I think it's really important if you have the time and the means to go back and experience older games. And if you really want to be able to talk authoritatively on stuff, you really need to have this history. I know a lot about a lot of these older games. I don't have that firsthand experience with a lot of them, and I've done my due diligence in the last year to play a lot of major releases: Final Fantasy IX, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear Solid, Ape Escape. These are really important games, I think, to go back and experience.
Donkey Kong
Country, which has become my favorite platformer of all time. Donkey Kong Country 2. I think it's really important to go back and experience a lot of these games. So if you can do that, that's kind of where I'm at in my history. I feel like I'm consuming a history book almost.
Yeah.
Where I'm this is what this was like at this time, and this was developed by them, and Squaresoft was this, and now they're Square Enix, and the history of that, and Enix and their rivalry with Square and Enix or whatever. It's and merging, that's really cool stuff.
At this point too, there's a couple of facets of company stuff and retro stuff that go hand in hand. First and foremost, biggest blessing ever was moving up here and having things work out in the way that they did to be able to start shooting content. But it's also nice to be hey man, I need to try out this game. Well, I own the console for it, or I already own the game, and to start exploring some of that history myself,
and to be able to show them all off all the time. You guys give me a platform to show them off my goodies.
The excuse to his wife is, but I get to play, it's on the display now.
Yeah, I just bought a $250 game, which was the biggest purchase that I've made for a retro game for Valkyrie Profile on the PS1. I tell my wife, and she's like, how much was it? And I was $250, and she was like, treat yourself. And I was like, oh, that's the only reaction that I need. I was thank goodness. But yeah, that's our gaming history.
Holy shit.
How long have we been going so far?
An hour and a half.
An hour and a half? That's not bad.
We definitely shouldn't have started out with 30 minutes of hot takes, Last of Us discussion.
No, people will love it. They're going to love it. We're going to hop into the draft. I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to intro it because
we have to shoot another podcast after this call.
Yeah, we're going to get some food. We're going to have a good time. I might... Oh, we can talk about this.
Yeah. What were we thinking for dinner? Is that what we're talking about?
I'll go get food, and you edit, and then we'll be good to go for the next one. I don't care where we go. I don't really want something nasty, though. I don't really want McDonald's.
Oh, dude, I wanted McDonald's.
Okay, maybe we can. All right, let's get into it. Dude, I get to go in later to work tomorrow. Busy season's over, everybody. I know everyone's excited.
As someone that has to help manage Connor's schedule and his workflow, and I'm so excited.
I get 30 more minutes of sleep tomorrow.
You get 30 more minutes of sleep, but most importantly, you
get out an hour early.
You're able to be here and ready to roll at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday compared to 6 o'clock or later.
So the podcasts are going to get longer, everybody.
No, they are not.
Woohoo! We're loopy right now.
We are shooting.
We've been shooting for so long. But that was a great podcast. I really enjoyed that.
I woke up today at 9:30 and literally was like, you're doing a 12-hour stream basically today.
Yeah.
You're just, oh my gosh.
All right. So I'm introing it, but you're...
Taking the first one?
Is that how we do it? Or do you usually intro it? No, you got the first pick last week. I get the first pick this week.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Yes. Let's go. Okay.
You get the first pick?
I get the first pick.
I don't want the first pick in this draft. I think there's a solid 1, 2, 3 up top. That's why.
Interesting. were both hiding ourselves. Dude, I keep breaking out this weird laugh. But like, I'm just really excited right now. I'm having a great time. I was tired coming into this podcast, but I just completely perked up.
I know. It's almost like you got a nap today and I did not.
Oh, dude, the nap was clutch. When Nick was editing the first video, I ripped an hour nap. All right. Ready?
Yes.
Today, we are drafting video game console startup sounds. This is an exciting one. I'm going to kick it off today. First overall, you gotta go GameCube.
Yep.
Play the sound. Fantastic. Like, what else do you got to say about it? Like, it's iconic. You can hear it in your head and visualize it on the screen, if that makes sense. So yeah, we're gonna go first overall. I feel like there's not a lot to say with these, so we might just need to roll through it.
Yeah, I think that this will be one of our shorter drafts. Shout out to our editor for adding the sounds and everything. With my first pick and my second pick, I'm just going to go for the 1-2 punch. I'm going PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2.
I thought you wouldn't go back and forth on that like that, so I could get one of the PlayStation iconic sounds.
No, they are
Damn it.
two of the most iconic, and that's why when Connor, before this draft, was like, I like having the first pick. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, yeah, you get GameCube, but you don't get one of the PlayStation 1 or 2s. Like, and so they're terrific. Hopefully Jay was underlying this conversation with those noises, but like, they're the GOATs. They're in my opinion the GOATs. And as we get more modern, things get a little bit more subtle and such. But I'm going with PlayStation 1.
They definitely,
PlayStation 2.
dude. The PS1 is like the future, man. And then the PS2, dude. When you go downstairs and you're sneaking a PS2 game at night when your parents are asleep and you forget to turn the volume down, boom! It's like, oh Jesus Christ! It's amazing. With my second pick, I'm gonna go with the OG Xbox. The future. When we talk about futuristic, like you kind of get like jolted awake and it's like firing on. So Jay overlay that real fast, but yeah, it's iconic, and as somebody who doesn't have like the nostalgia for it, just kind of like going through all of these sounds, I'm like, yeah, that deserves to be the second overall.
Yeah, that's a good pick. It's not my highest Xbox, but it's on my list.
Interesting. With my third pick, I'm gonna go with the Wii.
That was my next up to bat. Great pick.
It's just like really crispy and I almost want to say sensual. Like it's elegant.
Yeah.
It feels futuristic. It for GameCube to be so playful and then the Wii to be so elegant, it's a great contrast to be like, oh, this is going to be a little bit of a step up in some sort of department, which would be the motion controls. Obviously, our feelings on motion controls have changed as we've gone on, but it was crazy back in the day. So yeah, the Wii with my third pick.
With my third pick, it feels like it's been a while since I've been able to pick. I'm going to go with the Xbox 360. I think not only the noise, but the display, the green ribbon ripping across the screen, you know it, you feel it in your bones. You're about to go and play hours of Modern Warfare 2. Like, it fits perfectly for that generation. And I'm going to go, we said before this, we can do some handhelds. I'm going with the Game Boy, the ba-ding.
Yeah.
Like, it is perfect. You're about to play a nice Pokemon game. You're like, it fits the size of the console brilliantly. Love the Game Boy. That is my pick.
You took my next two, aside from the PlayStation 3 is going to be my fourth pick. It smacked me in the face. Another one of those situations where you can't leave the TV on if you're trying to sneak the TV volume on, because it gets loud. But I loved it. It's what I've heard probably the most potentially throughout my gaming. The PS3 startup sound. I love it. And lastly, I've never heard this until today. I'm gonna go with my last pick, the fifth pick, the Dreamcast. Terrifying, honestly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like scary. I don't know if I like it, but it's definitely iconic. So yeah, we're gonna go with the Dreamcast.
For my last two picks, I'm
That's
gonna
two?
go 2, 4. Oh, I just have one more.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't know where I wanted to go with this next pick because I
By the
had
way,
a couple of.
I looked into this. You cannot say the Genesis.
Okay.
Okay.
Wasn't gonna say it.
Because people will say the startup sound is the Sega, but that's just for certain games apparently.
Cool. Wasn't gonna go there.
Okay.
Not worried about it.
I wanted to take that, but
With my last pick, it's between two things that counteract what you just said about the Dreamcast being like, oh, do I even like this?
Yeah.
I want some basic animations and noises just to say, you're about to game. Like, just welcome in, open the door into whatever game you're about to hot drop into. And so my last two choices are between the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. I think that they're extremely elegant with their opening noises. And the one that I appreciate the most is the PS5. It is super easy. It's the opposite of a PS2, the opposite of a PS1.
I don't like it.
No, it's not about...
It's so bland. It's whatever.
No, it's not. But here's the thing.
Why not the PS4?
The PS4 is all right. Like for me,
the PS4 it gets progressively worse.
But I want it to go all the way. Is what I'm saying. And the PS5 goes all the way, where it's a nice introduction into the next generation of gaming without being like. I think it's going to get quieter or not even be a thing as we continue forward.
Its Switch doesn't have one.
Yeah, it
sucks.
I don't dislike it, but with my last pick, PS5, I adore the console, and every single time I boot it up, I'm like, yeah. And I think that's a lot better than even sometimes the PS2, boom, just like blowing your hair back if you have the console on too loud. And so yeah, I'm going with the PS5.
Awesome. That was our draft for video game startup sounds. This was probably our longest podcast ever at this point, so we hope you guys enjoyed, and leave a nice comment and give us some feedback. Maybe not a nice comment. If you want it to be shorter, let us know.
Yeah.
But we are Co-op 64. This is a casual gaming conversation. Once again, thank you all so much for the support on all our different platforms. We stream on Twitch Monday through Thursday, 7 to 10. It's going to be a little weird over the holiday season, but that's our general schedule. We got Armored Core 6. We got Final Fantasy 7 Original. We have Miles Morales going right now.
And we are in the lead into our January fundraising stream. So if you are a fan of what we're doing, basically every single year at the start of the year, we do a stream that allows us to upgrade certain things. A lot of people are like, why are you guys still using Blue Yetis?
We're using a webcam for our video recordings. We're a small operation, and we would like to take this to the next level. So that's on January 5th. So mark it on your calendar.
24 hours, potentially 30 hours to stream.
It's totally optional to donate and everything, but you're going to get some goodies for that.
And if you just show up, it honestly helps reach out the stream even more.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Just hanging out
it's going to be a crazy 24-hour, potentially 30-hour stream that we're super excited for January 5th. Can't wait to have you guys there. New TikToks every day. We got some fun ones coming up for you. Our Game of the Year's list will be up at this point by the time this comes out.
I mean, our individual ones? Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
So like stuff like that. And what else? We have this every Thursday, casual gaming conversation, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's the run.